This is a mimer that the Rebbe said on Shabbos Mevorchim Elul Tafshin Yud Beis 5712, which is 1952 or 1952. And always traditionally the mimer of Shabbos Mevorchim Elul speaks about Elul, and many times starting with this pasuk. The pasuk starts Ani Lidodi v'Doidi li Yoroya b'Sheshanim. It says in the pasuk in Shir Hashirim, Ani Lidodi, I am to my beloved, and V'Doidi li, my beloved is to me. Haroya b'Sheshanim, the one who shepherds his sheep amongst the roses. Now, the concept of this is that in Shir Hashirim there's two psukim, and this is something which is brought already in the earlier Rishonim. That in Shir Hashirim there's two psukim. One pasuk says, Ani Lidodi v'Doidi li Haroya b'Sheshanim, which is the Jewish people speaking, Shlomo HaMelech speaking in the name of the Jewish people, referring to Hashem as Doidi, my beloved one, and the Jewish people like the Kala, the one who is in love with her lover, with Hashem. And the one way is, I am to my beloved is to me. The other pasuk says, Doidi li v'ani loi, my beloved is to me and I am to him. Now the concept of the meaning of this pasuk, I am to him, he is to me, and especially the other one, my beloved is to me and I am to him, is the fact that we are, in fact, the pasuk is an answer to the nations of the world, who in the time when the Jewish people came to build the second Beis HaMikdash after Galus Bavel, and the other nations of the world came and they said, who is your beloved one? Let's search for him with you. The Jewish people are in Galus and they're saying, we want to search for Hashem, and they're finally coming and saying, we want to now build a Beis HaMikdash, search for Hashem, meaning searching for Hashem's presence, enabling Hashem's presence to come into the world. And the nations of the world say, why don't we search with you? Which was the Kusim at that time who were in Eretz Yisrael, who told the Jewish people, we want to build the Beis HaMikdash together with you. And the Jewish people say back to them, no. I am to my beloved and my beloved is to me. We are connected to Hashem. Our connection is only to Hashem. All we have is Him. All He has is us. You have no place in this. In other words, the Jewish people are saying, even when we were in Galus, even at times when we couldn't find Hashem, when we were in a place where Hashem's presence was concealed, and yet we always knew that our life was dedicated to Hashem. Hashem, on His part, says, all I have in this world, which is a world of concealment, a world that denies and that goes against the existence of Hashem, is the Jewish people. This is our connection, but the connection is in a twofold connection. It's a connection which starts from us and then connects. So the one way is my connection, the Jewish people's connection to Hashem, which starts from below the way we connect to Him. The other one is Doidi li, the way Hashem connects to us. In the Lashon of Chassidus, this is called Isarusa de Litata and Isarusa de Leila. There's the awakening from below, which is that we, from our side, inspire ourselves, awaken ourselves to want to connect to Hashem. There's the awakening from above that Hashem on His side says, I want to connect to the Jewish people. He, from His side, makes the connection to us. And that's the difference between Ani Lidodi v'Doidi li and Doidi li v'Ani loi. Where does it start from? Does it start from us deciding we want to connect and then Hashem reciprocates and also connects to us? Or does it start from the opposite way, that Hashem first brings the connection and then we do it? Now, the reason for these two ways of forming a connection is because the world, by the nature, by the reality of the world, and that's why we say nothing else. We have only Hashem, Hashem has only us. Not any of the nations of the world, they have no place over here. Because the world, by definition, doesn't enable godliness to be revealed. The world, by definition, our world where we exist in a physical world, we see physicality, we don't see godliness. In order to create that connection, there's two ways. We can decide we want to do it, but sometimes that's too hard. So sometimes we decide we want to do it, and then Hashem reciprocates and helps us, and He also makes that connection, because without that it wouldn't be able to happen. Sometimes it happens the opposite. First Hashem inspires us, arouses us, and then we connect to Him. These are the two ways. And the way of Elul is first Ani L'Doidi and then V'Doidi Li. And we're going to explain how this happens. In other words, how do I go out of my existence? How do I go out of a physical world and connect to Hashem, and in that way bring Hashem's reciprocating to connect us as well? Where does that happen? And that's why we say Haroya Bashishanim. Where does Hashem shepherd us? Bring into us the connection to godliness in the roses. And that's what we're going to explain now, how we go out of our existence to connect to Hashem, and Hashem comes out of just the regular spiritual world to connect to us, how that all happens. V'yadu, and it's known, says the Rebbe, Dani l'doidi v'doidi li, Rosh Tevis Elul, Dani l'doidi v'doidi li, is the letters that begin, the first letters of the pasuk make up the word Elul. V'chein Sefer Tevis Daled Yud, and the last letters are 4 Yuds. Ani, L'doidi, and Doidi Li all have a Yud, and then connected a Mem Yoim, which corresponds to the 40 days Shemirosh Chodesh Elul Ad Yom Kippurim, which come from Rosh Chodesh El Yom Kippur. Why? Yom Kippurim Gemara Slichu Mechila V'Chapara. Yom Kippur is the completion of the forgiveness and the atonement Shal Yidei Avodas Tshuva the Chodesh Elul, which comes through the Avodah of Tshuva of the month of Elul. V'nimtza, that means the Heina Rosh Tevis, Ve'ena Sefer Tevis, Dani L'doidi V'doidi Li, Remzem Al Chodesh Elul, both the first letters of the pasuk and the last letters of the pasuk, they hint to the month of Elul, which means, what is Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur, let's look at the very first Yom Kippur. The Jewish people sinned by serving the golden calf, meaning they refused to acknowledge the reality of Hashem in the world. That's the whole concept of the golden calf, that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't come down from the mountain. He promised in the name of Hashem he would come down. They right away got confused, and they said, well, we need someone else. We need a different type of thing to connect us to Hashem, which was akin to idol worship. Idol worship meaning not recognizing that Hashem is everything. They had to atone for that. How did they do that? Moshe Rabbeinu went up to the mountain on Rosh Chodesh Elul. He was there for 40 days. At the end of the 40 days, Moshe Rabbeinu came down, and that's when Hashem said, you're forgiven. What happens every year on Yom Kippur? Yom Kippur is when we're reconnected to our reality and our connection to Hashem, and with that, all the misdeeds are atoned for, are washed away. But there's a preparation for that entire month of Elul. The entire month of Elul leads up to that reconnection to the truth and reality of Hashem. Elul, both by the last letters of that, Niladoidi V'doidi Li, that's all those 40 days, the 40-day period, and the first letters, it's all about our connection to Hashem, that we reconnect to Hashem by having Ani L'doidi V'doidi Li. And now we continue to say, V'hine Avodah the Chodesh Elul she Avodas Tshuva B'derech Allah Milamata L'mayla. The Avodah of Chodesh Elul, which is the Avodah of Tshuva, comes from below upwards. L'chein ksiv tchila Ani L'doidi V'achar kach V'doidi Li. That's why it first says Ani L'doidi and then V'doidi Li. Lil Minei, earlier it says a different pasuk, ksiv Doidi Li V'ani Lo Yishu Milamayla L'mata. When it comes from above, first Doidi Li V'achar kach V'ani Lo, first my beloved is to me, and then to him. That's the fact that through the arousal from above comes the arousal from below. But in the pasuk where it talks about the avodah of Chodesh Elul, there it says first Ani L'doidi, then Doidi Li, dainu l'mata l'mayla, from below upwards. First there is the arousal and awakening from below, and then as a result there comes the arousal and awakening from above, because that is what tshuva is all about. Tshuva means I didn't do things right. Tshuva means I'm distant from Hashem. Tshuva means I return to Hashem, I reconnect to Hashem, and then as a result Hashem reconnects to me, where we then become one again, which that's the completion of it on Yom Kippur. There's another type of avodah, which that's usually connected to the month of Nisan, and that's that Hashem gives us the power from above, and we respond in the same way, but that means something comes, we have a spiritual upliftment coming from above. That's spirituality coming down to the world. That's the regular way things are. That's why the regular way is that Nisan is the beginning, the first month of the year. That's the way the order goes, that it starts from above. Hashem gives us Torah and mitzvahs, like we're going to learn about later, and we respond in the same way that we also connect. But then there's when we didn't do that. We didn't connect to what we were supposed to do. Then there's a new type of avodah, which in a way is a deeper thing, that we, from our own existence, connect to Hashem, and as a result, Hashem connects back to us. Now, how does this work? We continue the next paragraph. Then it says, the one who pastures us in amongst the roses. The simple meaning is that the Roya B'Sheshanim means, my beloved is for me, and what does he do? He takes me for pasture amongst the roses, which means which means that in addition to the general concept of my connection to Hashem from below and Hashem's connection to me from above, when Hashem connects to me, there's an additional thing. When He gives me from above, what does He give me? He pastures me amongst the roses. What does this mean? The question is, what's this all about? What are the roses? What is what Hashem gives me, the power? What's the roses? Another question is, the meaning of Roya B'Sheshanim is that Hashem pastures us, He gives us, He feeds us, He sustains us amongst the roses, meaning He gives us something from above for our serving Hashem. The simple meaning of Roya B'Sheshanim is when a person takes his sheep to pasture in a good pasture, which means it's easy and simple like roses. So it's a smooth and nice pasture. Similarly, spiritually means Hashem gives us all that power, and to have a smooth service of Hashem and a smooth connection to Hashem. The question is, it doesn't say this by doidi li vani loi. Here it says ani lidodi, and doidi li meaning it starts from below, meaning it's the avodah of tshuva, the avodah that starts from me, from my connection. Then Hashem gives me and also connects to me. But if that's the case, that it's the avodah of tshuva which comes from below, in general, the whole avodah of tshuva is from below, meaning I did something wrong, or even I'm in the world, I'm connecting to Hashem. That's the avodah of tshuva. That's why it reaches deeper. But if that, especially Elul, which the whole idea of Elul is anila doidi v'doidi li. If that's the case, why by this do we say Roya B'Sheshanim? Shem Hashmoi, which implies that Hashem is giving us a power from above. This implies I need the doidi v'doidi li tzarich liyis al ze nesinas koyach melamayla. Simply, what do we say? What's Elul all about? Elul is that we start, we begin the process. As a result, it becomes ours. And once it's ours, we connect. Then we get that full connection to Hashem, and then we can come to Tishrei, where Hashem reciprocates in kind, and where we also get that connection from Hashem. But this way, it started from us, so it becomes deeper. It's more part of us, part of the physical existence of the world. That's the simple meaning. But here it implies that in order for us to connect to Hashem properly, in order for our avodah to happen, we need to have the Roya B'Sheshanim. We need that pasture where Hashem gives us the power. And the question is, what is this all about? Paragraph number 3, the Rebbe is now explaining the idea of ani l'doidi v'doidi li, and specifically, what is the Roya B'Sheshanim? Why, if it comes from below, why do we need the power from above? And what is that power that comes from above in order to enable us that we should connect to Hashem? Says the Rebbe, the idea of this is there's 2 interpretations in the word Shoishanim. One interpretation is like it says in the Zohar, just like a rose has 13 petals. So also the Jewish people have the 13 Midas Harachmim, the 13 attributes of mercy, the Sachrin La, Mikol sitra, which surround them from all sides. Meaning, what is the meaning of Shoshanim? Shoshanim means the 13 attributes of Hashem's mercy, that's what enables us, that's what empowers us to do our avodah. Now just in very short, to understand the idea of the 13 attributes of Hashem's mercy. Moshe Rabbeinu turned to Hashem, and Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, what's going to happen in the future? It was after Hashem forgave the Jewish people for the sin of the Egel, of the golden calf. And Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, what's going to happen in the future if the Jewish people sin, if I'm not around to entreat you to forgive them? And Hashem says, I'll teach you a secret. And Hashem taught him. In fact, it says that had it not said it in a pasuk, the Gemara says, we wouldn't be able to say such a thing. But it's as if Hashem actually put on a talis, like a shliach tzibur, like a chazan. Vayavir Hashem al panav. Hashem went by, like a chazan that goes by, like a shliach tzibur, wearing a talis. And Vayikra, and Hashem called out, and he said these 13 midei sarachim, Hashem kil rachum v'chanun, which is all the different opinions, how that works. And according to Kabbalah, it starts really with Kel, Hashem is the source of them. But the idea of these 13 Midas Harachim, Hashem says, if the Jewish people will do this, put on a talis, go with a minion and say this, then I'll forgive them for all their sins. Why? What's so special? What's so powerful about the 13 attributes of Hashem's mercy? The 13 attributes of Hashem's mercy are something that's above the world. They're beyond the physical world, and therefore they fill all the blemishes that there are that were caused in our world. In the natural world, a person sins, he messed up, he did something wrong. It can't be fixed. It can't be fixed because he did something wrong. But when one goes beyond the nature of the world, that's able to fix anything that went wrong in the nature of the world. The 13 Midas Harachim are above and beyond the nature of the world. And these 13 Midas Harachim are especially connected to the month of Elul. As we'll learn, they're especially connected to Yom Kippur, etc. And that's why in Slichas we say so many times these 13 Midas Harachim. This concept of the 13 Midas Harachim, that's the concept of tshuva. That's the idea of a person being able to go beyond the world. What did we learn before? The whole idea of ani lidodi v'dodi li is we're in a physical world that by its definition doesn't enable our connection to Hashem, because we're connected to the physicality which conceals over that reality of Hashem. It doesn't enable the ani lidodi, it doesn't enable the v'dodi li. How is it able to happen? Through Haraya B'Sheshanim, when there's the 13 petals of the rose, which means the 13 Midas Harachim, they enable us to go beyond the world and to be able to still connect to Hashem. Pirush Beis, the second interpretation is Kamaimar Razal. The Gemara explains the meaning of Shoshanim. Shoshanim, the word Shoshanim, which is roses, means Shoshoinim B'Torah, that they study Torah. Ulefiza, and based on this, Yud Gimel Ha'alim, the 13 petals of the rose, him Yud Gimel Midas Torah Nidreshes Bam, they are the 13 attributes that Torah is studied through them, that we say every morning in Rabbi Yishmael Leimer. The Beis in Yanim Meilud Yud Gimel Midas Harachim, Yud Gimel Midas Torah Nidreshes Bam, which in general Chassidus explains that they're connected to each other. In fact, Yud Gimel Midas Harachim is what arouses those 13 midas that the Torah is studied through. But these two concepts, him beis, ifane or avodah, the Torah, tefillah. These are the two types of avodah, of Torah and tefillah. Nimsa the shira kasuf. What's the pasuk saying? What enables a person to have the ani lidodi v'dodi li that comes through the pasturing in the roses? Haynu anisinas koyach bebezo inyanim the Torah tefillah lidei avodah ani lidodi v'dodi li. There's two ways that we connect to Hashem, and we're able to have the idea of I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me in the month of Elul, in the 40 days of the month of Elul. Re-establishing the connection of our neshama to Hashem. That's through these two types of avodah, of Torah and tefillah, of studying Torah and davening to Hashem. These are the two ways that we connect to Hashem. And that's what we're going to explain now, how this works. But the general idea is when we learn Torah, we're learning Hashem's Torah. We are internalizing the reality of godliness, bringing it down into the world. When we daven to Hashem, we're connecting to Hashem, and like the two manners, as it says in a Yom Yom, of a student from his teacher that's in studying Torah, and of a child before his father that's in Torah study, in tefillah and davening. To understand this concept more specifically. In truth says the Rebbe, these two aspects of Torah and Tefillah are actually the two types of avodah that we mentioned earlier, of ani לדודי, the sarusa letata that comes from below, and doidi li, the sarusa leila, what comes from above. Avodah milamata l'mayla, the avodah from below upwards, avodah milamayla l'mata, and the avodah from up downwards. The Torah milamayla l'mata, Torah is from above downwards, bringing the word of Hashem into the world. The tefillah milamata l'mayla, and tefillah comes from the person who's the child who's talking to his father, davening to Hashem, and that's the idea of the student from his teacher. He's receiving from him. He's being taught by him. The child to his father is entreating him. He's turning towards him. In general, the whole concept of Torah is from above downwards. The Mashi Yisrael Kiblu HaTorah, the Matan Torah, the fact that the Jewish people received the Torah as in a way of Matan Torah, the Torah was given, Hainu meaning B'derech Matana Milamayla Shalem Mitzad Avedis Nivraim, with a gift from above, which doesn't come through the Avodah of the creations down here. When the Jewish people were in Egypt, they were sunk into the 49 gates of impurity. And despite the fact that then they left Egypt, which then their Avodah was therefore in a way of escaping, as is an nantlafin from Mitzrayim, cooking the Gezer Matzav, they escaped from Egypt, despite their the situation at the time. When they didn't go into any discussion with the other side. They ran away from the Mitzrayim, from the confines of Egypt and of the impurity. Meaning, despite the fact that they were sunk into the 49 gates of impurity, so the bad was in its full power, but they escaped it. They ran away from it. They ran away from Egypt. And not only that, but later on, there were 51 days until the giving of the Torah, which means they counted 49 days. The Torah was actually given on the 51st day because there was another day in between. And then there was throughout those days there was the avodah of counting the Omer Kadisa Beran, B'Shem Medrash Agada, and as it's brought in the Ran, in the name of the Medrash Agada, Shini Tzviras Emer, who is Zecher, Mashasafri Yisrael, Zas Yom Mad Matan Teros, the Ran brings from the Medrash, that when we count Tzviras Emer, when we count the Emer, it says a commemoration of the fact that the Jewish people already counted it the first year when they left Egypt. They counted the days towards the giving of the Torah, but it wasn't just they counted the days, they actually had the Avodah of Asvira Seimer, the Mizem movement is understood. The Gam, Bishana Rishain, also the first year when the Jews left Egypt, Shiatsu Yisrael Mitzrayim, Haisa Aveda Asvira Seimer, there was the Aveda of counting the Emer, Mikal Makim, nevertheless, Hagilui, the Matan Torah, B'chinas Matan and Dafka. Yes, they had the days of counting, they worked on leaving the 49 gates of impurity, but nevertheless, the actual giving of the Torah is in a way of a gift. Vumishum Shagilu, the Matan Torah, Haya, Shaloi Lefierach Avidasam Klal. What they were given, the Torah, was totally incomparable. Yes, they did have the avodah of counting for 49 days, but it was incomparable to their previous avodah, to the work that they did. Even though they had the avodah of running away from Egypt, escaping from Egypt, and the avodah of counting the Emer. Mikol Makim, nevertheless, it's impossible, even with whatever avodah it may be, that in the course of only 51 days they would be able to reach Mehashikua B'mem Tes Shari Tumah, from that being sunk into 49 gates of impurity, which is the deepest level of impurity, to come to the greatest revelation of the giving of the Torah, Hashem coming down onto the Mount Sinai and saying, I am Hashem your God. Which means under such a it has to be something which comes as a gift from above. Yes, they had to prepare themselves somewhat by doing something, but 51 days of preparation, no matter what was done, is not going to take them from the deepest level of impurity to the greatest level of holiness. It had to be something that came from above. So that means the idea of Torah is something that comes from above downwards, from Hashem's inspiration, from Yisarusad Leila, from Hashem's arousal. That's how it comes down into the world. V'hainu, meaning, Shagilui de Torah mitzad l'mayla, be'efen shamata ein tefes makim klal. The Torah comes as it's from above, in a way that from the side, from the point of view, so to speak, of the Torah, the world, the lower world, doesn't even take place. It doesn't have a space whatsoever. And therefore, this is why, even when the Torah traveled and it came down, many different levels, to the extent that Torah discusses physical matters, things even of claims which are false claims, where the Torah speaks about, well, if he was lying, he could have said a different claim. The Torah is discussing the false claim, the false idea of the liar. Meaning that the Torah came down into the lowest level. Like the interesting thing that the Mishnah talks about, a stick, which they hollow out in order to hold money, in order to try and escape from taxes, in order to try and steal from the taxes, and whether it's a keli or not a keli, and this various things like that. And the Mishnah says, why did the Chachamim talk about this? This is deceit. And the Gemara says, this Mishnah says to tell us, we know exactly what you're doing. We're aware also of your things that you're doing. But it's more than that. The Torah is not only aware, the Torah comes down to discuss things of impurity. And yet, because the whole point of Torah is from above, where the world doesn't take space, so mikol makim hine b'chol hamadreges in the slapshim hamatera, and all the levels that the Torah came down into, gam b'madreges hayoyis and nemuchis, even the lowest levels, payelas b'matera b'chinas bittul. The Torah makes a nullification. The Torah causes all of the impurity and all of the negativity to disappear, to become totally nullified. Not only that, that's not a bittul hayesh. The bittul hayesh means a bittul that comes when there's an existence, that feels itself to be in existence. It recognizes something higher than that. That's called bittul hayesh. I exist, but from my existence I recognize that I'm really nothing. Bittul atzmi, an essential bittul, or bittul memetzias, a bittul in existence, means when the bittul isn't someone that came from me, it comes from above. There's such a great light that shines upon me that I cease to exist. The Torah causes the world to cease to exist, and that's what Torah is about, that causes that concealment, the hiding of the world that covers over the truth. It causes it to cease to exist. No matter what level of the world, it ceases to exist. Even though Torah comes into the lowest aspects of the world, nevertheless, since Torah is a revelation from above, it's revealing the wisdom of Hashem, the essence of Hashem, in a way that the world doesn't even take place. Therefore, the Torah brings about, in any level that it comes into, it brings an essential nullification. Like man, which was bread from heaven. Even when the man came down, became a physical food, to the extent that it becomes part of, it becomes flesh and blood of the person who eats it. There was no waste in the man. It remained bread from heaven, which has no negativity in it. And that's what Torah is. Since Torah is bread from heaven, it's from above. Even when the Torah came down into the world of Islam, and it became integrated in physical things, in claims which are false. The essence of Torah is an essential nullification to the reality of only Hashem, which causes the world to also cease to exist as a separate entity and become only nothing else but Hashem.